I'm telling you guys, I figured out how the system works and especially how the deception works in order to make us, the people, to have the spirit of servants rather than to have the spirit of sons and daughters. So this is how it goes. As I was contemplating on this matter, it just it just came under the light that um, they will make as many rules as they will just make as many rules as possible, like as many rules as they wish. They will make infinite rules and they don't even have to make sense. There are a lot of rules. And if you think about it intuitively, the way how this world works, it is just exactly the opposite of how the Garden of Eden has worked. You see what I'm saying? The God's kingdom, as it was intended originally for people, is how the Garden of Eden has worked. So you see, the basic principle of the Garden of Eden is that people, well, at that time, two persons, Adam and Eve, those two people were allowed everything, literally everything, except for the tree of the knowledge of the good and evil. So except for that one thing, everything else, literally everything in the world was allowed, was okay, was not a transgression. So people had more freedom, like literally people had more freedom to think, to do, to speak, to do whatever as they wished. And how the world works now in 2024 is that the governments and the system itself, like whatever you want to call it, some people like to call it the matrix. I think it is the matrix. Like we are trapped in it, like at least partly, because like as free as we can be in the spiritual realm, like we still are just trapped in this finite fleshly beings. So yeah, how this world works now at this moment is that, like I said, the system, the government, the people up there who think they are the rulers of this world, but which they are not. Well, they could be, but not for as long as they wish, because ultimately God is in control, and those people, they will make all the absurd rules. Those rules don't even have to make sense. They will be like, they're like the factories. They're like a factory for making rules. And you know how as human beings our unconscious mind works? We are all being gaslit and brainwashed into thinking that there's innately something wrong within us, which is not true, because we are all, like, as corrupted as we are created in the image of God. That means we have our sinful nature, but in other sense we are perfect. Like, we don't have to be self-conscious, and we are free to do whatever we wish to do, you know like the Bible verse goes, like, where there is the Spirit of the Lord, there is freedom, there is liberty. And the the way this world works is, yeah, they will make that many rules, and our unconscious minds will think that there's something wrong within us. Then what happens? We become more easy to control. Like, and it's even more so in my country where I live. You know how some small things are a symbol and like a foreshadow of the bigger things, in the things in the bigger scale, in the macro scale. Like back in 2021 and 2022, I was really digging, and because I'm a big fan of like automobiles, cars. I was looking into some laws and regulations in my country, South Korea, like, and there was lots of regulations that didn't even make sense. And not only about the what do you call it? The change, like how how you could switch engines, and uh, to put it briefly, there are a way more regulations in South Korea about the modifications of automobiles, modification of cars, than it is in the USA. And not only about the regulations of the modifications in cars, but also the traffic laws. They're, it's pretty obvious. Like if you think about North Korea and communist China, in those states, the regulations and laws and what's prohibited, what's allowed to do, and what's not allowed to do, is those things make less sense. Like it's not even enough to say that it makes less sense. Those things are more absurd. They don't even make sense, and they make us self-conscious, essentially. And then we get easily controlled, and people tend to have the spirit of the servant, rather than having the spirit of sons and daughters. So if you get what I mean. And I can also give you another example. I have mentioned 2 or 3 times in my former videos that since I was born, I come from a Seventh-day Adventist family and extended family backgrounds. And you know what happens? Like, I don't know about the North American denominations, but in my country, what happens within that denomination of Christianity is that, like, there's regulations. Like, they say it's recommended, but still it is like a regulations, and that makes our minds and hearts, and that makes our souls shrink. You know what I mean? Like in the Seventh-day Adventist denomination, it is said that being a vegetarian is recommended, and what really happens all the time is people really they don't walk as they preach, so to speak. Like most of the people, I would say pretty much 95% of, like, I'm giving an account of this firsthand, because like I said, I was born into that specific denomination of Christianity, since like I was literally born into that. And now I'm no longer part of that group of religion. I've abandoned it totally. But like what happened is that there are those regulations, and people, almost all of them, don't keep it. And what kind of impact does that have to the minds of the people therein? What does that kind of things impact the unconscious of the people? it makes the souls shrink, and it makes the people have the spirit of the servants. Like, they will always feel there's something wrong with them, so they will be very easy to be controlled by whatever agenda the people at the top, whoever they be, is pushing, you know. So that is why in the beginning of this video I said that I'm telling you guys, I figured out the system, and especially how the deception works in this world. It is all the same. Then, like I said, it is exactly the opposite of the basic principle how the Garden of Eden has worked. There was no regulations whatsoever, like, apart from that commandment from God that people should not eat from the tree of the knowledge of the good and evil. Apart from that, there was no regulations. So there was no shrinking of the souls, and there was no like acquiring the mentality or a spirit of a servant. All the people were sons and daughters of God. And what I see, what I'm witnessing now, like so many times, like every single day, is the evil powers, Satan and his servants, taking the souls away from God's, trying to take people's souls away from God's hands. But if you are select, like, I do not know, if you are called by God and if you are chosen by God, no one, not even Satan himself, is able to snatch you from the hands of God. So I wish you the best, and I hope this video was somewhat helpful, and I hope this video enlightens you in some way, man. I'll see you in the next video very soon. Bye. Peace. I love you. Bam.